Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm Lee Johnson, and if you like my content, please do all the usual stuff like, subscribe, and you can hit the notification bell to know when new videos are coming out. And you can share and comment. Love to have comments, and you can also hit the join button if you want to. Alright, so today I'm going to start something new which is called the Do Not Read list. Now this won't just be a book or a group or whatever it may be of Do Not Read. It's also going to be a recommendation of something which you can read just to counter that. Alright, so let's see what I have in store today. Okay, so today, as I said, I'm going to start the Do Not Read list. And on today's list is Norse Paganism for Beginners by Rachel Williams. In order to do that, I just need to hop on over to the computer. But after that, we're going to have a look at some recommendations of books to read as a counter to the book to not read. Alright, so let me head over to the PC quick. Alright, so just want to have a look at the book quickly. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. I only actually got to read, or I only read 10% of the book. I actually couldn't read anymore. It really is bad. There is a mention here that they created the book to cover the beliefs of the Norse and Germanic pagans. So it's not, you know, they keep going into the Nordic or Norse paganism and talking about Scandinavia and things like that, and the Vikings and blah blah blah. But really, it covers the whole lot, Germanic pagans. So you know, I think it's a bit misleading. But I mean, here we have in Norse mythology, Ragnarok is a series of events that involves Odin sending different parts of himself, such as his son Vilja and daughter Vali. Now, I did make little notes. Vali was the son of Odin and Rinda, not the daughter. Here, the Vanir race, the Vanir were a race of gods who had initially lived in Asgard with the Aesir, but they left to live on Earth because they wanted to be closer to humans. I think my note was a bit short here. I just said, huh? I've never heard that in my life. I don't think anybody else has either. I don't know where they're getting this information from, to be honest. Here again, in Norse myth, Odin sacrificed himself by stabbing his son Balder with a spear. Balder was not killed by Odin. Oh, here we go. Balder was stabbed by a spear made of mistletoe by Loki and given to Balder's brother Huther, who inadvertently stabbed him. Odin stabbed himself with a spear as a self-sacrifice to attain knowledge. That's when he was hanging on the world tree, and he stabbed himself, lost his eye, things like that. But the two have got absolutely nothing to do with each other, except for the fact that Balder was Odin's son. Again, don't know where they're getting this stuff from. The first settlers in Iceland, Helgi and Leon, prayed to Christ at home and Thor on the sea. They called on Thor to show them where to settle, praying for guidance. Helgi and Leon named the settlement Christmas after Jesus. It really is. There's a lot of Christian. I needed to check that. I didn't check it. However, there's a lot of Christian inclusion in this. Here. And the goddess Frøy. Now, that could have been a misspelling. They may have wanted to say Frøya, which is the goddess, the sister of Frøy. But, you know, Frøy was not a goddess, Frøy was a god. But as I said, it could have been a misspelling. However, there are, I'm not sure if I actually highlighted them. There are inclusions of the same thing with different spellings here and there. Let me just see if I can find some. Women often turn to Freya. It's missing the J in the spelling, but it could refer to the goddess. Because otherwise it would be spelled with an R at the end, I suppose. I'm not sure where it was now. But basically, that's wrong. Okay, I think we all know that's wrong. Yeah, okay, so let's move on. There was also a sacred site, like a temple, where objects and symbols were placed to honor the gods. The most popular of these rituals involved the destruction of the idols of the gods. Okay, I don't think I've checked this one. Yeah, the destruction makes no sense. I really don't know why the Nordic people would be destroying their own. Wait, the most popular of these rituals involve destruction of the idols of the gods. I've got no idea. It's just complete nonsense to me. Many of the rituals and ceremonies of Norse pagan religion have evolved into neo-pagan groups, including white power groups and Aryan nation gangs. This is something which has become a problem. So, you know, the way that reads is that it's okay. It's not. If you're going to come across a lot of authors, and I mentioned this at the end of this video as well, you're going to come across a lot of authors which are racist. They are white supremacists, and there's a lot of groups, Nordic groups, that have become white supremacists. I'm going to say avoid them like the plague. Okay? It's just the way this reads, it's like, you know, well, that's the way it is, and white supremacist groups have evolved out of this, and, you know, that's the evolution of the Norse paganism. It's just the way it reads, and it doesn't sound right, but, you know, it's wrong. Let's have a look. What else do I have? Its followers worship the dark gods known as the Jinn, which symbolize chaos, and believe that these creatures are the embodiment of the primordial elements. This is in reference to this paragraph before. Various myths about the Norse gods have been used to explain the origin of paganism. In the mythology of the Norse people, the role of the Roka is like that of the Greeks. I don't know where Jinn is coming in here. Jinn is Arabic. Why are we including Jinn? And Jinn was a race that were created before humans and created from fire instead of earth. I can't find correlation between what's happening. It's like fog, you know. I don't know. Here we go. Goddess Freya. That's the masculine spelling. That's the spelling of the god Freya, or Freud, not the goddess. What note did I make here? Really pushing this theme of conversion. Yeah, she does. She really does push this theme of converting to Christianity. I've got a feeling she's actually Christian. I think that's as far as I got, because I just couldn't read anymore. But I think you can see that it really is a bad book. I mean, there's some truth in it, obviously, because, you know, it's Norse mythology. We can go and check other sources. But, you know, you have these really ridiculous faults. They're just blatantly wrong, that it makes this book a definite do not read book. And I was actually my attention was actually brought to this author because of another book she wrote called Irish Paganism, which apparently also is full of mistakes, and it just becomes a problem. I decided to read the Norse Paganism for Beginners one because I'm a bit more knowledgeable about Norse paganism than I am about Irish paganism. But you know, the mistakes are so blatantly wrong and terrible. I mean, these are simple things that you can go and check online. And it's just, you know, some of the stuff, I don't know where she's getting it from. Why include Jen? Why? And why were they destroying the idols of the gods in their rituals? Was this actually in reference to the Christians? The Norse gods were friends and distant relatives, and their people cherished and revered them. They worshipped their gods and gave gifts to them for good health, good harvest, and fertility. It was customary to sacrifice a pig for a swan during this time. Sacrifice a pig for a swan. That doesn't make sense either. A large sun wheel was used to celebrate the return of the sun, and it was rolled down a hill into the east, allowing the sun to return. Okay. The priests conducted rituals, some involving human sacrifices, and these were held in both temporary and permanent locations. Okay. There was also a sacred site, like a temple, where objects and symbols were placed to honor the gods. The most popular of these rituals involved the destruction of the idols of the gods. It just makes absolute no sense. And the thing also is that as you're reading this, I don't know if you've ever read an article on a blog that has been, you know, some people write free articles or articles that they can sell to people as MPR, MLR, master license rights. So they can actually take the article, they can change it to whatever they want, and then they can put their name on it. But a lot of people put it through a program which actually takes all of the writing and just changes it slightly so that it looks like it's a new article. And sometimes it just comes out like an absolute ball of trash, and it doesn't read properly. This book actually reads like one of those. It's just... let's take this paragraph. The practice of ancestor worship was widespread among pre-Christian Scandinavians. In these cultures, ancestors were significant to the family's self-image. It was believed that ancestors came from the dead land and influenced those who lived. Okay. And then? What then? Anyway. Alright, so that's Norse Paganism for Beginners by, what's her name? Rachel somebody. Let's just go to the cover page. Norse Paganism for Beginners by Rachel Williams. The Complete Beginner's Guide to learn about the origin and history of Norse paganism, Germanic mythology, Asatru, and Celtic folklore. Why Celtic? The Celtic were the Druids. Okay, alright. Anyway, that's this review. Thank you very much. Do not read. Alright, so now we've had a look at the Do Not Read book, the bad book, and I think you can understand why. Let's have a look at just a couple of authors and books which I would recommend, and not just me, but people who are very much experts in this field of Norse paganism, Germanic peoples, Germanic paganism, and Teutonic. The first one, the definite recommendation is to go to thetroth.org, and have a look through their stuff. They have a variety of books. They've also got a publication, a magazine that has been published since I think it was 1988. So there's quite a few in there that you can actually get. And one of the folks who was in the trough was Kveldulf Gunderson. I struggle to pronounce that name sometimes. And he actually wrote several books actually, but one that I'm finding really really good was Teutonic Magic. It really is an introduction to Norse mythology and thinking and way of life, rituals, magic and things like that. But he goes into it, he explains things really well, let's put it that way, and simply and easily and, you know, in plain English. But in this book, Teutonic Magic, he does go through the Teutonic world, which covers Yggdrasil and the 9 worlds. He goes into Earth's Well, which is the Well of Weird, and how it's split into 3 wells, and how the roots of Yggdrasil get fed, watered and things like that. And really has a look at the Norns and how the Teutonic people viewed time and things like that. And then goes into the Teutonic Magician. It has a look at the various parts of the soul that was followed by the Teutonic people, the Germanic people. It really is that's section 1, all right? So it really is a fantastic look at the mythology and the understanding, the cosmology of the Teutonic, the Germanic people. Then he goes into section 2, which is Magical Thought and Working, which has quite an extensive section on runes. Goes through each of the runes as well, not just the usage and the way you can actually use it, or use the runes and the magic involved and things like that, but also goes through each one and examines each rune in a great amount of detail. Then goes into tools, into laws, magical symbols, herb lore, and then seath magic. So there really is a lot in there, you know, compacted into just a normal sized book really. This is about just over 300 pages. But it really is a fantastic look at everything. And then section 3 is Gods and Wights. So it goes into the religion of the Germanic people, the Aesir, the Vanir, the Wights, Outdwellers and the Beasts. And then in the appendices, there's also some rites that you can use. So this, I would actually say, is a great book to start with. And you can then, if you go back to thetroth.org, they have 2 volumes of Our Troth, and they are fabulous. They are absolutely fantastic. The books are absolutely brilliant. They are available on Amazon from their Lulu store, so you can buy them directly through the Troth. But they really are fantastic books. When you do go looking for Our Troth, you'll find that it was the author is noted as being Ben Wagner. Great guy, but originally it was Kveldulf Gunderson. But the authorship's just changed over. The books, the volumes themselves were, as far as I know, written by various members of the Troth. So it really is a collective effort and a collective project that went into that. Anyway, so if you want to get started in Teutonic magic, looking at the cosmology of the Germanic people and their beliefs, their religion and everything else, those are definitely the best recommendations to start with, at least. You do need to be careful when you are exploring the Nordic religion, the Nordic faith, in that there is a lot of racism that has come into play. So be careful with the authors that you read. A lot of people, pick up the books, they read the books, they start following the traditions and everything else, not even knowing that what they're doing is actually racist. So just be careful with that. If you're not sure about an author, ask somebody who knows, who is very, has immersed themselves in that world for a long period of time and is aware of all of the difficulties and problems that come along with it. The troth itself, you'll see there's a note on there. They do not ascribe to any racism, sexism, etc., etc., etc. So the troth is a fantastic source, and there are quite a few books on there. And there are other books that look great as well. I haven't read them myself. I'm going to get them soon. But there are other books cover various rites. They've actually got a series which are the sagas. So that's also a valuable inclusion into the tradition itself. All right, so I think I've spoken enough today, and I'll let you go. And join us on Friday for the Black Hat Chat if you can. It's at 5 p.m. GMT. You can join us in the live chat. We are going to be going through sigil creation, and it'll be a live demonstration thing, so it'll be quite fun. All right. Otherwise, I'll see you next week, Tuesday. Have a great one. Cheers.